that we are not proactive, what is it that we do? Precaution is the best principle to my mind under such circumstances. And this has been believed for a very long time. This is not something that I've discovered recently. And therefore, we have talked about a plan to which Dr. Ghosh referred to. He was very much a part of that plan. And as he said, when the plan was discussed amongst farmers, 550 of them, none of them believed that the plan was possible. While we were working on the document, he did not believe that such a plan was possible. Because I believe the question he asked was wrong. If you ask a wrong question, you get a wrong answer. There's no doubt about it. I will give you a slightly older example. There was a time when I used to work with the West Bengal Renewable Energy Development Agency, again in association with Dr. Ghosh. And Mr. Gon Chaudhary, who used to be at the helm of that organization, a very dynamic person, used to go to the villages and ask the wrong question and got the wrong answer 10 times out of 10. He went and asked the villagers, do you want electricity? Obviously, the answer is yes. Anybody who does not have access to electricity and is aware of what electricity does, the answer is obviously yes. So the moment you go and ask somebody, are you willing to relocate? The answer is always, no, I don't want to relocate. That's the wrong question to ask. If I were to ask each one of you to trace your family histories, anyone, I know Subhash Babu far too well, so I will not ask him. But I can ask anybody. So you in the blue jacket.
I don't think we are talking on the subject. Kindly come back to the subject.
I will.
Please.
I will.
Don't waste our time. That's not your prerogative.
That's not the way you talk.
That's not the way. How long we should continue such thing?
I can stop right away and not waste your time.
Please continue on the subject. You are deviating from the subject.
No, see, this is the point.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
This is the point. You're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing.
And I'm happy to stop right here. Please.
Sir, can I please request not to approach in that way, please?
What
because he was laying the foundation of the talk and you simply, you know, you should have been more patient, sir. You should have been more patient.
Can I interfere? See, we are in a program where everyone has got time to talk, and Anurag was trying to bring at that point that if the questioning was wrong, why it was wrong, he was bringing a simile between your family history and things like that, right? So please don't get impatient. We are senior people. My appeal to all of you, and because they have put so much of labor and pen and money in organizing, let's not spoil this evening. Let's continue the program. Please be patient. Please bear with us. Bear with Anurag also, and I will answer because this is a democracy, right? So we have to give time. You cannot just say you come, you listen, and you go. No, not like that. Give some time to Anurag to explain what.
No, my point is he has given certain subject to deliver. It's not that counter with your point. That's not.
He's going, sir. He's going into that subject. He is going into that subject.
We are looking for that only.
So please,
I'm
please.
waiting for that.
Okay, sir. I appreciate.
Coming to the point.
Yeah.
I refuse to continue. Period.
No.
I am much younger than he is. He feels offended. I stand with wrong.
Excuse me, Dr. Danda. Excuse me, Dr. Danda, please. Please excuse me. And I apologize to everybody here. If anything happens, it's a misunderstanding only, I think so. Because Dr. Danda, from his practical experience while working in Sundarban and in other departments, he is just expressing, and I discussed before this meeting was started, and he was to come to the point only to elaborate this point, whatever he will be presenting here. That's why he presented all this, his experiences. Please bear with us. And there is no ambiguity, there is no problem, there is no doubt, there is no enmity, nothing is there. Only mere discussion about a particular topic which I have selected. Please bear with us, and I humbly request Professor Danda, please come, whatever happens, no problem.
Please, I have...
No, it can't be.
It cannot be.
From my side,
See, the problem with you, sir, is I will not be able to decline your request.
From my side, I am requesting you, whatever you please.
So the point I was making, despite the fact that certain people don't understand, was that if we were to look into our histories, most of us were attached to primary production systems. The way people of Sundarbans are attached to primary production system, of which agriculture is the most significant component. However, most of us in this room have moved away from the primary production system. Question is how? Because either we as first generation literates or our preceding generations were able to make use of certain opportunities that came by, or they were extra enterprising than many others, and were able to build a capacity to be able to lead lives differently. And over a period of time, across generations, move away from the primary production system. Such opportunities, unfortunately, are not available to the people of Sundarbans. People like Subhash Acharya are exceptions rather than the rule. He's not alone. There are others from Sundarbans and such areas. But these are chance factors. Most of his contemporaries have remained where they were and dependent on the primary production system. Therefore, we need a plan. Next one, please. This Dr. Ghosh has already shown. This is the area which we talk about the plan. This is also the area in which Dr. Ghosh in one of his maps showed is largely the area which was affected by ILA to a very significant extent. The infrastructure is poor here. Facilities are next to nothing compared to other parts of India and even other parts of West Bengal. And the plan talks about various things. What this plan essentially is talking about is to make the amenities available to the population to be able to enhance their capacities the way we or our preceding generations have enhanced capacities to lead lives differently without being dependent on the primary production system. Despite offending people, I will again say the disagreement here is between adaptation and mitigation. Adaptation allows us to buy time. Adaptation does not solve our problem. If the landmass were not to be there, where do we have agriculture? Salt tolerant or otherwise? And if this is what the projection is, and if we have to be proactive rather than being reactive, then we need to think differently. I will not use the word relocation. I would use the word organic movement of people, which is normal. And the point I was trying to make, that we ourselves in our lives, in our preceding generations, have made that organic movement. This organic movement of people happens all the time. Next one, please. This is an imaginary picture, but based on the information that is available, that vacated space between the circled area and the forested area is the one where we are talking about moving people out, in other words, encouraging people towards organic movement through enhancement of capacity and other opportunities, and retaining ownership. As Dr. Ghosh pointed out, one of them actually said, Takatao nebo, Malikanatao rakbo, which is extremely valid, a point. Because this is also the space for mitigation in terms of carbon sequestration. If this place is vacated through organic movement, this is also the opportunity where carbon could be sequestered, and mangroves are known to sequester larger amounts of carbon than other vegetation. I think I am at the end of it. Thank you. My apologies once again to the people older to me for having offended them.
Thank you, Dr. Anurag, for giving your vision on the Delta Vision document and how we will see Sundarbans in the long run. Our final panelist and speaker is Ajanta De. Ajanta is the Joint Secretary and Project Director of Nature, Environment and Wildlife Society, which is a very well-known NGO working in the field of wildlife protection and wildlife research. She is also the Associate Editor of Environ, a quarterly publication on environment and wildlife issues, and she is a member of the Commission on Ecosystems Management, IUCN. Ajanta has been leading a number of research projects on mangrove afforestation and sustainable livelihood, which has been funded by different agencies, including the ABN AMRO Foundation, DEFRA, and other agencies. And more recently, she has got a project which she's leading, funded by Danone Fund for Nature, Paris, where they're looking at the reforestation of mangroves in 6,000 hectares in Sundarbans to restore the biodiversity and to offset greenhouse gas emissions. And today, Ajanta is going to talk on the community model of mangrove afforestation scope and challenges in Sundarbans. Ajanta.
Respected Chair, senior scientists, my colleagues in the conservation world and friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to introduce myself. I am not a doctor, but I am a conservation practitioner working in the field of conservation. And may I take your permission? Because I thought that this was a CMS Vatavaran festival mood, and you people may be working more on visual media, and I also inculcated many of visual modes into my presentations. So I would like to control it myself, and I take your permission to go down and speak from there. So we are Nature, Environment, Wildlife Society. It's not very well known, like Dr. Bhaduri said, but many of us working in West Bengal know it. We are a member of the Indian National Committee. We are a member of the State Board of Wildlife, accredited to JEF. We have a very robust governing body. And well, coming to the topic, this climate change, we all know in some way or other. We are experiencing it in our daily life. We have the carbon dioxide increase, we have the Ganges glacier receding, but the child stares with the utmost, despair as to what the predecessors are leaving for them, what we are leaving for them. Is it a beautiful world that we are leaving for them? So the question is the intergenerational response that we must feel towards them. We have some responsibilities. So I would like to take you into experiencing what these people in the Sundarbans are experiencing. Sound is not coming?
The sound is not
not there, so there's an effect in the results.
So that was a picture of the isla. It happened in a short glimpse of May 2009, and everyone in the of my previous speakers spoke of it. It was really a what should I say, a turn in the events of life of Sundarban, of the people of Sundarban, and we who are all working there, and the people, what we have been telling them for years, have experienced through their lives what is happening. Let's move on to the next slide. So what the planet is doing is now they're seeking solutions. We are having a lot of these international dialogues, meetings, and we all are trying to make solutions in our own ways, trying to address the problem, do things at micro levels, at macro levels. And we have in the world the corporates, we have the ecologists, the multinationals, the economists, the government, the researchers, the NGOs, and the big issues that we are all working on are the GHG reduction, the biodiversity, poverty alleviation, sustainable development, participatory management, and all these people are working on their own sectors in their own ways, doing some contributory work. The main challenge is to integrate them, is to combine all the ways into one platform to make some significant impact. So I would not go into all the details. We have been listening in from Dr. Ghosh and also from Dr. Dando that Sundarbans, it has a lot of accolades into it. To go just to just review that it's a land of unique floral and faunal diversity. We have the tigers. We have so many red list species, and we have the 84 species of mangroves. They are of course threatened. Many are being challenged. There are very many threats to the mangrove community. Besides that, the floral and the faunal, we have this 5.1 million people, and we cannot just like relocate this, that. We are thinking on many things, but these people are there for quite a long period of time, having their own livelihoods, having their own life, and their so and you see the islands, it's like where the people start like the turtle back surrounded by so the islands are surrounded by we can speak. Yeah. Okay.
Please give us 5 minutes.
The turtle back, and it is protected by embankments all around. Many of us have been to Sundarbans, but I know many of us haven't been also to Sundarbans. I remember once addressing some students in the this engineering institute. There was around 300 students. They are all studying in the 3rd year. And I asked them, how many of you have been to Sundarbans? You know, out of 300, only 4 hands were raised, and they all live in West Bengal. And I said that, how many have been into Kerala? At least 40 hands were raised. So this is how we read Sundarbans. So that's like a turtle back, you know, and it's surrounded by embankments on all sides. And that only allows the people to live there, because it's twice the high tide and the low tide every day. So this embankment is very important for the life of the people of Sundarban. And we all have heard about it. I don't want to stress on more on this, because there is an increase in the salinity, there is increase in the water temperature, there is increase in the sea level rise, there is a projected sea level rise, storm cyclones, as Dr. Dando had said, there has been increase of 26%. And we are experiencing more of, you know, Nargis, Ayla, Sandy, all over the world we are experiencing it. So the effect is this increased vulnerability of the community there, increased vulnerability of the biodiversity, commercial fish catch is decreasing. We did a study in 2009 on the fishery catch pattern, how is it changing with the on the eastern side and the western side, and we also have, you also are facing that the hilsha, the parshe that used to come in large numbers in the waters from the Sundarban are missing. We are more having trash fishes like pangash, this, that, and they do not fetch much of the livelihood for the local community. So, and beyond this is this 3,600 kilometer long fragile embankment. You see, this is a picture that was taken in the time of Ayala. To the right is the river, and to the left is the village side. But you see how it happened. You cannot distinguish the village and the river side, because there were no, on this mud flats, on the river side, there were no mangroves. People and every worker who works in Sundarban realized during Ayala that wherever there were mangroves on the mud flats, the embankments were not disturbed. They were there. There were not much denudation. There were not much breaches. But wherever there were not the mangroves, there were breaches, and the saline water had rushed into the village side. So this is a typical example. It was in the Shonaga village, and you cannot distinguish which is the village and which is the riverside during that time. Then we started to make some impact in a micro level as to what can be done, because that was a terrible time, spending time in 2009, May 2009 with the Sundarban people after that devastation. And we realized that restoring the biodiversity, we can do the restoration of the mangrove ecosystem. How can we do that? Because mangrove plantation has been going on there for the last 20 years, but what difference can we make from that? We have to create some large-scale initiatives to create some significant impact on them. And then we went for a plan to plant 6,000 hectares of mangroves in a multi-species environment, and so that we know how the mangroves have their stilt roots, their prop roots, they protect the embankments, they consolidate the soil, they are considered as the nurseries of the fin fishes, how they contribute to the increased fish, crab, every biodiversity component of the entire ecosystem. And so that was one point, that the large-scale initiative to create a significant impact. And then was the community model. Because plantation has been undertaken there for a couple of years, but why is this not sustaining? So there should be some onus, some ownership, and we felt that the community has to take up that ownership. Who will be responsible for that? Maintenance. And we tried to engage the community, spoke with them that whether they will be part to it, and we were successful in in many areas to create change agents among them who would take this initiative and protect the mangroves. And we were able to, it was a very, I should say, intense work talking with them, but the experience of Ayala has made them more understandable towards the importance of mangroves on the mudflats. And the sustenance model was very important, because how to sustain the mangroves over years. It's not just plantation, but it has to grow, it has to be nurtured. That is the most important part, just not the plantation, but the monitoring, the nurturing over a period of time, especially 2 to 3 years of time. And then we had this Danone Fund for Nature. They approached us with a carbon credits, carbon offset strategy, that they have to have their developments and they have to offset their carbons. They wanted the carbon credits. They are investing now. Beyond 10 to 20 years, they will take the mangroves grow, they sequester carbon dioxide, and these are turned into carbon credits, and they will take the carbon credits for that. But beyond a certain agreed amount, we have made an agreement that it will also be shared with the community to the extent of 50%. So this long-term commitment of funds for the monitoring and nurturing within the community model was also very important for the sustenance of this type of initiative, which we had been able to do with this carbon model. And it is being registered in the UNFCCC. And I would like to add to you that the mangrove methodology was not introduced in the UNFCCC. And through this project, the mangrove methodology in the UNFCCC Germany was, it was registered in June 2011, and we have applied it in the large-scale project. So what we did is just like we thought of plantation and we planted. The plantation is not at all an easy task. It's a very difficult task, and we did the map studying to get the bathymetry erosion, like you see the Matla river, how the river is meandering, where the erosions, where the accretions. We understood the slope of the mud flats, how, in which stage, where to do which type of species, and then to find the CDM standards, because it has to be registered for the CDM benefits. So this was the study which was helped by Institute of Environmental Studies and Wetland Management with their GIS technologies. And we have, he was the great mangrove scientist, Dr. L.K. Banerjee. Now he's no more with us, but he was working with us that time. Dr. Anjali Babuguna from ISRO. He was also part of the program. The important value index was measured, the growth and density was measured, and we identified which type of plantation has to be done in which type of areas, mud flats. And then the community model. It was extensive meetings, and as you know, the practice is doing it with jute bags. The nurseries are raised in jute bags, but in our project, we introduced a 30% introduction of the jute bags in the entire nursery modalities, so that it's more biodegradable, and a lot of activities are being generated with that. The seeds are collected, the nurseries are maintained, you train the community, and we buy saplings from them, from the community. We don't buy it from any other established nurseries. We train the community, the women community who is adjacent to the mangrove mud flats where we are planting, and we do it. And they take part in the plantation. They also take part in the monitoring part. That is the most important thing. They do the GPS tracking, whether the plantation is working or not. They do the salinity measurements with the refractometer. They do it very well. And they also, we are trying to develop simple scientific tools so that they also monitor the fish crab catch. 2 years back when the plantation was not there, and 3 years, 5 years hence, how is it increasing? So we are working with international institutions and also with the local, with the scientists also from the national and the state level, how to evolve simple scientific tools so that the community itself is, they are empowered to actually gauge the changes that is happening at the micro level in whatever they are doing. So at a glance, we have this is 2.5 years, completed 2,500 hectares, working in 15 blocks. Out of the 19 blocks, 108 villages are involved, with 41 lakh nurseries have been done only this year. And 30,000 community has been mobilized. And it spreads from North Chobbish Pargana to the central part, the Matla, Atharpotima, and to the Sagar. The entire area of the Sundarbans.
41 lakhs nursery or nursery plants?
Nursery saplings.
Because nursery is a different term.
Nursery saplings.
Yeah.
So let me see if it works this time. A short, no sound. Just you have a look of it. I'm sorry. But this is how the entire community is being engaged. Try করলাম কিন্তু আসছিল
এটা লাগাতেই
model so important, because the women, they are directly earning from this project in some way or the other, collecting this, that, and it increases, you know, they get trained, it creates an ownership, it creates a governance and also empowerment. They take a lot of pride in doing this work for a social cause that will protect their next generation and also themselves. And the mangroves, we all know they act as a bioshield against the storms, cyclones, and it is a way of mitigating climate change. Restoration of the mangroves increases the vibrancy of the ecosystems, and we have an increased fish and crab catch. And the carbon value is an addition to this project because the investors get their return with the reduction in the carbon footprints. And also this is a sustainable plantation model because we have a long-term commitment of funds, and they are also very much enthusiastic about the maintenance and the monitoring, and not just the plantation part, and the humanity gets the ecosystem developed. So it's a win-win situation for all of us who have some stake in the entire area. And what we feel is it's a perfect synergy. We have the ISWM, we have Wittenberg Jack. He is working with Government of West Bengal for last 6 years. He's a consultant to the project. We have livelihoods. We have the Government of India approval, Ministry of Environment and Forest for the project. We have the unique land use who is doing the registration in the UNFCCC, working on the scientific part. And we have the Botanical Survey of India who is guiding us with the mangrove community, all the peculiarities and the site selection, the species selection, the diseases that we are facing, how to combat it, and of course we new implementing organization. And with all this, what we intend to do is this.
It is an incredible place, the Sundarbans, the largest estuarine forest on the planet, a World Heritage Site, a vast watery wilderness with immense biodiversity and stunning beauty.
This is all we are working for together. Thank you.
Each slide before, we have the 2,000 hectares that you work on. I want to see that slide. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajanta, for sharing your views on the community model of mangrove afforestation. I'm sure by now you have plenty of questions in your mind that you want to ask our panelists. May I request Dr. Ghosh to be here, please? Thank you, sir. So now the forum is open to the audience. You are feel free to ask any questions that you have. Yes.
Is it possible to mention that for Sundarban to say we are doing the planting part of it, how many such agencies are working on this issue? Is it possible to say? Am I clear on that?
How many agencies are working on this subject?
I mean, you are talking about non-governmental organization or government?
Okay, you can mention this way: government, forest, your Sundarban board, and also so many NGOs.
I believe Mr. Subhash Babu is the person who can give me this data. We have one directory of the NGOs of Sundarban, which has been published about 5 years back by Mass Education. The Mass Education is an NGO. Shukumar Singh is the secretary. That's the only directory I have, at least in our library. There is no other directory I know of, right? Am I correct, Subhash? Yes. The number two, with regard to the departments. The department coordination is done by the Sundarban Development Board, supposed to be, and that's under the Department of Planning and Development. But then by thumb counting, we can say agriculture, fisheries, PWD, PHED, we can forest. These are major departments which are working there. And then renewable energy, of course, WREDA. So maybe 7 or 8 government departments, but then more than 100 NGOs in different blocks are working in Sundarban. And we have seen, I mean, not that I am representing one organization, but we have seen the effort that they have taken. I mean, this is very, very laudable effect, right? So I think it's a collaboration, but let me also tell, Dr. Anurag Gondo is very positive about the forest department lowering their barrier and things like that. Okay, it's a very welcome site. We will welcome every government department to open the door. I belong to the government of India, so I know that how we have worked with the NGOs. There is nothing wrong about it. There is very positive action. But we have to be very liberal about it. The government department has also many, mind blocks in many places. Someone may be very favorable, someone may not be very favorable. That's all.
Can I add to your question? That I think what was disturbing you what put you into the question was so many agencies working for plantation, and what is happening then? So to be precise, to be very precise to your question, we are trying to introduce through this project to introduce the GPS tracking into the plantation, and we have been so that it's not that we have done, for last 20 years. Mr. Subhash Acharya knows that I have been to his department so many times that we have done 500 hectares. Forest department has done 10,000 hectares, but there is no documentation.
What about the satellite picture also?
Yes, but then we have to have the GPS track of that well, we have done in this part of the area. We have to move, well, this is our planted area, this is our planted area. We have to use the GPS modalities for that. And we have been able to introduce this to the forest department, that they have this time published their mangrove plantation program with GPS coordinates. Because we are trying to introduce this transparency into the entire plantation program that is being undertaken in the Sundarbans.
Let me very quickly share one thing. When I was working with the Minister of Environment and Forest as the director of the JSI, my secretary at that point of time wanted me to go to Sundarban and to see and give a report back to the Minister of Environment and Forest whether 50% money should be released from the MOEF for a part of plantation program that Forest Department is undertaking. So obviously I was taken by very senior forest officers, and they showed me for 3 days plantation areas, just for information, listen to it. But I was asking that, I know that half a dozen agencies are giving money for the plantation. Out of MOEF money, what is the plantation that has come up? Show me that plantation. None could show me that. In other words, একটা কুমিরের ছানা 3 বার দেখানো হচ্ছে কিনা আমি জানি না, যদি না হয়ে থাকে অযোধ্যা তোমার সামনেই বলছি কথাটা, কার প্লান্টেশন কোনটা, কোন ডিমার্কেশন কোনটা, এটা কিন্তু এখনো জিপিএস আমরা ওখানে 15 বছর আগে ব্যবহার করেছি for a different reason. GPS was not the first one. Anurag knows that when he was much younger, GPS was used, he did the mapping for the Sotomola data using GPS. It's not the question of GPS, but yes, we need a transparency. কে প্লান্টেশনটা লাগিয়েছে, কে দেখছে, এটা কিন্তু একটা সেটেল হওয়ার কথা। কার্ডটা কে দেখাচ্ছে, কার্ডটা থেকে আমি ওদের সন্দেহ করছি না, ওরা নিশ্চয়ই করেছেন, যেভাবে দেখিয়েছেন ইজ হাইলি অ্যাডমায়ারেবল। আমরা কাগজে পড়েছি, ফর দ্য ফার্স্ট টাইম তোমাদের কাজটা দেখলাম। আমি কাগজে পড়েছি, তোমরা যে এরিয়াতে কাজ করেছো, দুর্গাদুয়ানি রিভারের ওখানেও কাজ করেছো, তোমরা যে আইল্যান্ডে কাজ করেছো, আমি সেই আইল্যান্ডে জানি। কিন্তু well, this is very well documented thing, but the question is that 2,05,000 or 5 lakh or 10 lakh or 20 lakh is the question of verification. Now, verifiable is data under UNFCCC is very important. I am sure that you are taking into account of that.
They are coming regularly.
আমার আরেকটা প্রশ্ন আছে, সেটা আপনাকে।
আমাকে?
হ্যাঁ, সেটা হচ্ছে নিমপিটের যে সংস্থা আছে, যারা
খুব ভালো
অল্টারনেটিভ এগ্রিকালচার নিয়ে কাজ করে, তারা এই স্যালাইন সিডস, তাদের কিছু নলেজ ছিল না আগে?
শুনুন, নলেজ ছিল না। আমার পিএইচডি জুওলজিতে, আমার পোস্ট ডক্টর এগ্রিকালচারে, ঠিক আছে, আমি একটা অদ্ভুত লোক। তো নলেজ ছিল না কথাটা আমি বলবো না, নলেজ ডেফিনেটলি ছিল, মেটেরিয়াল হয়তো ছিল না। কার নলেজ ছিল না? ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গল এগ্রিকালচার ডিপার্টমেন্ট নলেজ ছিল না, ICAR এর নলেজ ছিল না। আমরা যখন কাজটা করেছি গত বছরে ইন এ কনফারেন্স ICAR এর, আপনি জানেন নিশ্চয়ই যে সয়েল স্যালিনিটি রিসার্চ ইনস্টিটিউট ICAR ইনস্টিটিউট ক্যানিংয়ে আছে, আমরা সবাই জানি। তার ডিরেক্টর আমাকে বলছিলেন যে এই কাজটা, এবং মিলন দত্ত আনন্দবাজারের তাদের নামে একটা রিপোর্ট ছেপেছিল, আমি মিলন দত্তকে বলেছিলাম কোথা থেকে ডেটাটা পেলেন। কাজে ওটা নলেজ ছিল না তা নয়, no one thought about it of taking back, and maybe they didn't have the material. যাই হোক, কাজটা যে হয়েছে আলটিমেটলি আজকে পুনঃসব নিশ্চয়ই বলবে পুরো আলোচনাটা সুন্দরবন নিয়ে হলো, তাই তো? আমি অনুরাগ এবং অযোধ্যা তিনজনেই সুন্দরবন নিয়ে কথা বলেছি, তিনটে অ্যাঙ্গেল থেকে বলেছি, কিন্তু নাও it is up to you. I am not going to.
Any more questions from the audience? Comes to your mind? Maybe then I'll ask a question to Dr. Ghosh, just out of curiosity. That the rice is a great example that is from the soil tolerant ones. Any possibility that this could be reciprocated in other crops, maybe some vegetables?
Because we don't want to jump into a too much ambitious program. We started, rice is a very basic and staple food, so we started with that. See, we also, my friend who is no longer with me, he has left us suddenly last year, he departed, Dr. Narayan Chatterjee. He said, to take out the salinity, why not you let us have a discussion, introduction of sugar beet in Sundarban. Then he gave me extensive literature in sugar beet. Subhash Babu will remember at one point of time sugar beet was being promoted in Sundarban for cultivation, right? কিন্তু সুগার বিট কাল্টিভেট করে ওটা ইকোনমিক্যালি ভায়াবল ক্রপ হবে বলে, সুগার বিট থেকে অন্য জায়গায় ইথানল হয়, সুগার বিট থেকে অনেক কিছু হতে পারে, কিন্তু এখানে সুগার বিটটা সাকসেসফুল হয়নি। কেন হয়নি ওনারা আমার থেকে ভালো বলতে পারবে। Regarding vegetable crop or other crop, no, we have not touched anything like that. We have only touched with the rice because that's the first thing we would like to touch.
One question to Dr. Anurag, I have one. How do you see that Delta Vision, the plan that you have proposed, how it's going to be implemented in the Sundarban? How it's going to be taken into action?
The plan as it has been envisaged is not for one entity to take it forward. While Subhash Babu was with the government and working on the State Action Plan on Climate Change with Dr. Ghosh and others on the committee, elements of the plan were incorporated.
We have given it.
Elements of this plan have also been taken up by CSE, Center for Science and Environment, which publishes down to earth, a very powerful communicating organization. It is also the World Bank recently is coming forward into a dialogue mode, not only with us who have proposed the plan, but also with Government of West Bengal and Government of India, as well as in Bangladesh. So it is not one agency that will take the plan forward. And also, while the Doha Climate COP is on now, there is also talk about damage, loss and compensation being caused by greenhouse gas emission in areas that are not as large contributors or probably much less contributors but are the larger sufferers. So this negotiation is now going on, it's just being taken up. So gradually that will happen, and probably as we have envisaged in the plan that such kind of money will pour in from external sources, because if you realize that we've actually declared it a World Heritage Site, and therefore it is not only our heritage in Bengal, it is not our national heritage, and therefore the responsibility also needs to be shared to hold on to this heritage for succeeding generations. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I make I'll take just 2 minutes. Two things. Number one, with regard to Anurag's comments regarding the approach part of it, let me clarify that point very clearly. I don't think I have asked the wrong question. I said the danger is this and this and this and this. Don't forget, I was a part of Delta Vision team. I said, if you are given these chances, would you be able to go away after whatever your skill enhancement and other program? I mean, are you in a mindset that you are ready to face any calamity, or are you in a mindset, if money is given to you, after giving whatever opportunities that is given, will you be, in other words, traditionally, unless you are forced by nature, will you be able to? I am not Gon Chaudhary, so I am a different person, and I got a very clear no verdict from them. Number one. Number two, a long-term program to solve like Delta Vision, of which I am a part, but a short-term program for the adaptation, immediate danger of last coming 1 year, 2 years. Delta Vision will take place next 20 years, 30 years. What will the people do? What is the question? What is the answer? If tomorrow another ILA comes up, I do not want to wait for Delta Vision. After 2 years another ILA comes up, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, in Sundarban there are 3, Nargis, Cedar and Isla. 3 different cyclones came consecutively, 2007, 2008, 2009. 2 of them fortunately diverted themselves to Myanmar and Bangladesh. 1 only hit us, and repercussion of that is this. And the highest number of people dead is in Myanmar. More than 2 lakh people died in 1 single day. The data is not exposed in my country, it has never been discussed. Only once did I write on this because I collected data from 3 different countries. My only anxiety is that Delta Vision is very good. My anxiety is that the repetitive ILA type situation and a long-term program to be launched is contradicts. What is the immediate preparedness? What is the disaster management plan for combating at that point of time? See, think about it. Anurag knows the people, I also know the people, hundreds and thousands of people faces I know. But the question is what they will do? They'll again depend on some Longor Khana to give them khichuri and chal and live on the high embankment because another island has come. Do they have any adaptation program with them? Whether it is a housing adaptation, whether it is a drinking water adaptation, whether it is agricultural adaptation. I think we need to think it very seriously, very, very seriously. And in other words, there is a short-term program, there is a long-term program. If short-term program is adaptation, long-term program is what he calls mitigation or systematic, he said organic migration. Okay, organic migration. What Australia is doing, the only example we have in front of us, there is one whole island, the island population is facing a lot of problems, and everyone knows that island is going to go down. Australian it is a 10 years projection. They have started shifting that entire population systematically with pre-planning process and in the mainland area, with demarcated area, with school, with building, with hospital, with everything. But we are not Australia. We just can't afford to do that. I will be the happiest person if I see that people are not exposed to the vulnerability situation. That's for sure. Yes.
But not in Australia, in our West Bengal also in Sundarban, there is one island which has been washed away, the Lohachoda.
Yes.
People has been shifted to mainland of Sagar, but not so well planned.
Mr. Acharya, it just happened to be one of the students, Natasha Johanna Dutt, did an extensive study of the after rehabilitation of the people in Sagar Island, the way they are living, the facilities they have, and the deprivation factor they are facing. I am not going to discuss this matter. See, I have gone into the depth of the problem regarding rehabilitation. Don't think that I don't have the data on those. Yes,
no, we have not discussed about the environment refugee.
That's the environment refugees.
Yes.
What
we
he
have not
says,
discussed.
what I am saying
We
is
have not
the
discussed.
word we didn't
Anyway,
use.
No, this is not the scope of
may I
the
ask one question about the organization, this particular subject for discussion. Don't you think that the right people could have been much more effective if the people from Sundarban area or the people who are working there maybe call for such discussion? Give a thought on that.
That's the organizers.
No, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the organizer who has given a thought, who will be the participants.
I think this is a beginning, it's a step, so maybe next year.
Which beginning?
Well, I mean, there's anything has a beginning, so
So it's a start, and I hope that next year we'll take your points into view.
Ignore that. We have not given a proper thought on that. Better accept that.
We are involving different stakeholders in this program.
Madam, I know about your organization and your this thing. And I'm in contact. We know that.
May I now request Dr. A.K. Sannal, Chairman West Bengal Biodiversity Board, to give his concluding remarks. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Bhaduri. Today's discussion, though it was related to West Bengal, climate change and scenario in West Bengal, but fortunately or unfortunately it was restricted to Sundarban only, and that's why the gentleman, my learned participant, he pointed out that the participants should be from those areas. But I think so. I am not much aware about this program, about the thought of the organizers. Still, I can say that the topic, as per the topic, the speakers were selected and invited, and they restricted their talk on the Sundarban. It is not the fault of the organizers, and the people from different fields, they were invited, and many of them have come, so that this message, though it is restricted to Sundarban and the people from the Sundarban are not there, many of them are not there, and still I think through these participants this message will go there, and this program may be successful to some extent. And I can say that in future we will thought about it and try to enlighten the people on the soil on which the program is to be held. And we know that the West Bengal is very, very unique, very, very rich in biodiversity due to its unique position to peninsular, in between the peninsular region, Himalayan region of oriental part, and the Palearctic region, and due to the cumulative effect of all these regions, the uniqueness has given the fame and the identity of the West Bengal biodiversity. It contains about 2.7% of the landmass of Indian